Disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act, 1976, all music, photos, and videos under fair use for review and educational purposes only.
To the Wrestling Guy.
Welcome to the Wrestling Guy Store Reviews the Classics with
David
and
Alfred
and Hector El Chido Canales. And what are we going to review today? So that's special, right?
Special is a nice way of putting it.
Yeah. Well, it is a classic,
Yeah.
but not for the good reasons.
Right.
And guys, you know, I remember this segment where, you know, at that time the Dungeon Duel was just starting, and you know they were bringing different superstars from WWF at the time. They were bringing John Cena, they were bringing Bruce Beefcake as Shark and Lizio Hickman, and you know they were starting to build up this big hype as being this big heel faction, and then all of a sudden, surprise, this big giant appears. You know, so I mean, for Hogan, he was going through the whole roster at the time, and they couldn't find anybody really that would match strength with him. You know, they had the Lugers, they had the Stings, but it was getting kind of old. So now they're bringing in the Giant, and so the actual build up to this, you know, started off really, really good.
Well, we're gonna see if your memory serves you right, because we're gonna see the actual build up to this fantastic Monster Truck Challenge. Is that what they called it? Monster Truck Challenge.
2 matches in one night.
Oh, who will survive?
Who will survive?
Let's find out.
Let's see if
All
we
right.
survive.
Oh, you know, I've never been here before.
It's not hot.
There's no Hulkamaniacs here.
Jeez. That's better than any preview I've seen this summer.
So it's like, here's the one thing. Now we know why Hulk Hogan always did B movies while The Rock went off and made superstar movies.
Yeah, I would
No.
say so. You would have thought that they would edit the part where he touches the water and he goes, "Oh, that's not hot."
No, it's not. It's not. He goes, "Ow! It's not hot."
Right, I'm saying, why did somebody say, let's
Well,
shoot
not
it
only
there?
that, but there was a lot of over dramatizations and all the characters in there. I mean, I think this was a real comfortable character for Kevin Sullivan, considering, you know, in his early years he was known as a very evil heel, So I think this particular character fits into it too. And I think as in this part, I think Hulkamania is getting really boring. So they did really need to introduce Paul White into the scene.
Well, speaking of that, the week prior to this is when they actually introduced him. They didn't name him. He just showed up on Huntington Beach with his white shirt on and took it off and threw it at Hogan and said, "You remember this?"
Yeah.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan's gonna remember some shirt, right? Yeah,
Yes,
it's it's very reminiscent to Brokeback Mountain at the end scene when he's holding the shirt, and he's saying Jack effing twist and he hugs it. Like, I can see Hulk Hogan saying that, but
That's what I do when you leave.
it's
Nonetheless, it was a larger than life shirt though, so
Yeah.
it may have sparked an interest.
But at least it kind of, they try to connect the dots that the Giant is Andre's son. So it does give you a little bit of intrigue. It is very, digging very deep into
That
the whole.
was definitely the hook into everybody's interest. Did Andre have a son? Was it Paul White? There was a lot of questions, and that I think is what kept everyone hooked on to this particular segment of Hogan versus the Giant. We really want. I think the fans really want to know, wow, this huge monster is the son of Andre.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people had sided more with the Giant because of that, and that's I think where the hype originated. So let's we'll find out, see how the match goes.
Okay, well, let's roll the next clip.
I don't know if I'm gonna survive after that.
All right. All right.
They wonder why No Holds Barred was a success. Huh?
Thunder in Paradise TV
Thunder in
show.
Paradise.
Hey, I watched it every week, man. Thunder in Paradise was my show.
Okay, let me get your guys' opinion. Okay, this is just coming almost close to a year, 2 years prior. Yokozuna and Hulk Hogan, King of the Ring, before it comes to WCW. Now he's faced against the Giant. I mean, hasn't this guy had enough of the big guys already? I mean, time and time again, they beat the crap out of him, and he comes back for more. Now, some might say that that's what Hulkamaniac's all about, but I mean, I don't know. I'm rooting for the big guys.
But they keep trying to go back to what worked. Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy. Hulk Hogan versus Killer Khan. Hulk Hogan versus Big John Studd. Andre the Giant. The Shark, who was Earthquake. So they keep going with these huge guys because Hulk Hogan is a huge man. Although here, he's a lot thinner. But they keep trying to go back to what worked. What worked. Brother, it ain't working anymore.
And we wonder why now Hogan can't wrestle. This is
But
why.
have you ever looked at it and watching it back again? It's about time. It's like they say now, when you try to copy what WWF at the time was doing, it just seemed like WWF light. I think Hogan was the big draw, of course.
Yes.
But now when you look at it, and when you see that when they did the whole NWO angle, that's why WCW took over so much, because they ended this whole kid, big, not even cartoon, horrible acting crap that they were putting out at the time.
You're going to what really just was bringing WCW down. Because, I mean, WCW was already down, but it was because of their production value. The way the lighting, everything was kind of looked upon. Now the production's getting higher, but the storylines and just the plain story is lame.
Yeah.
This is for like 6-year-olds.
Yeah.
And WCW was NWA.
Yeah.
NWA fans at the time, they were NWA fans because the NWA was still real to them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas WWF had your Zeus.
Mm-hmm.
They had your Doink the Clown, Duke the Dumpster Drosy,
The Goon.
the Goon.
The Repo Man.
Repo Man. So it was, WWF was very kid friendly.
Yeah. I think this shows exactly too, not just WCW, but I also think that the generation that would watch wrestling, this is what it's catering to, which was kids, and we wanted cheesy stuff because we fell for the cheesy, like,
Yeah, but see, here's the thing that.
But I think guys our age,
We were
we
over
saw
it.
it differently, but
Yeah.
maybe kids were watching it. I don't know.
Well, not only that, I want to piggyback off of what Hector said. You know, in a nutshell, it's kind of recycled gimmicks.
Yeah.
You know, we like we were saying. You know, we've seen the Shark, but I mean, Earthquake was a big character in the WWF, and then all of a sudden we have this lower character by the Shark. You know, Bruin Speedkick was a very big superstar in the WWF. All of a sudden we see him as a Zodiac.
I like the fact if they would have just kept going with the Paul White being Andre's son thing, I think they could have done something with it because before we keep watching the rest, if you really watch when Hogan and Andre went at it and for WrestleMania 3, right? It felt so real. Like it wasn't cartoony. Like you knew Hogan and Andre were best friends. You would watch the Saturday morning cartoon and know, oh, they're best friends. And all the WWF magazines, they were together. Home videos, they were together. And then all of a sudden, Andre gets jealous and walks out with Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Hogan, of course, is the bad guy.
And
Really.
it's that intensity of Andre's face. And you don't have to see Andre mad. You just see the way he looks in his eyes, and you can tell it's like, you know what? Now I mean business, and now you know it's not. It's my time.
And that's why I say if they would have kept going off like, oh, I'm here to get revenge for my dad, I think it could have got.
It could have worked.
You know, that's a good idea.
You know, then it's not really what I guess the players. It's more the guys who are setting the game together.
Right.
It's the booker. It's the writer. They're trying to keep doing what WWF did, and which they did a fantastic job. And now here's WCW bookers trying to book the same thing and not knowing how or why it worked. Trying to still.
And I think, in my opinion, the WWF, the gimmick didn't work, they were good at covering up, kind of shading it onto a different gimmick. Where WCW at this point in time is like, okay, the Andre the Giant thing didn't work, so let's just stick to the Dungeon of Doom thing. And it kept a lot of fans wondering, like, well, what happened to the Andre the Giant something?
Yeah.
They could have just played it off later and just said like, oh, I just used it as an excuse because I wanted a match with Hogan.
Exactly.
You know, I'm not really his son, but I just wanted to.
I got my foot in the door.
I just wanted my foot in the door, and I used it. You could have made, I was gonna say Big Show, the Giant. You could have made him like this real jerky kind of heel that used Andre to get his foot in the door, and then fans
And that would have got him a lot of
screw
heat.
this guy.
Yeah, would have gave him a lot of heat.
I guess we could see how this turns out.
Okay.
See
Well,
how
let's take a
lucky
look.
we go.
Let's
Hopefully
keep it
we
rolling.
survive. Yeah. That was dramatic.
What they're going all out.
Yeah.
They shaved Hulk Hogan's mustache.
Yes.
May I just point out something? If I'm going to help anybody help me, I don't think I'd be sending out the American males to get Nasty Boys.
Nasty Boys.
Nasty Boys. With all due respect, they're former multi-tag team champions. But I'm not sending the two previous boys that won't really wrestle for anything to come and help me out. I'm sorry. I mean, I'll send the Brawlers at the Nasty Boys out, and they can make a dent, but
The only thing I didn't like about them coming out was that they didn't play their theme song, their intro song before they went out there. Do you remember that?
But didn't we have enough? Didn't we have enough with Hogan? American-made music. We had
No.
to get that as well.
This is America.
You know what I noticed? It's not. Some people that watch it, they start doing the camera angles when Hogan comes out. The WWE current camera angles when Roman Reigns comes out, where they would find certain fans that were only cheering him.
Yeah.
Because I think this is when, like you mentioned earlier, Hogan's popularity was starting to decrease.
Yeah.
So Hogan was getting the Roman treatment to a point.
Yeah.
He wasn't getting booed, but the pop wasn't as loud anymore as they used to be. And you look at the camera angles, you can just see that they're only showing the guys.
The 6-year-old kids with the foam figures. And
We're cheering them.
And some of these kids were getting them for free too.
Yeah.
Just to kind of basically paper, like, hey, hold this, so you could see some red and yellow.
But at that time, actually, this angle is not a bad angle. It was a good angle because you never got to see Hogan without his mustache.
Yeah.
But only one thing that I question. So you got the Zodiac, aka or FKA, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and they're gonna cut Hogan's hair. And they keep saying, "Oh my God, they're gonna cut Hogan's hair! Oh my God, they're gonna cut Hogan's hair!" And Zodiac just teases it. No one ever stops him from cutting the hair. So what happened? Why did he cut his hair?
I think it would look too much as the old gimmick, the former gimmick.
But did you notice he's the one with the scissors?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was like a little shot.
Maybe.
But you know who's, and then Mongo McMichaels. Oh my God, he's laughing through some of the commentary at the beginning, and then but Bobby the Brain saved it for me. Bobby the Brain saved the angle, and him laughing as a wrestling fan, and you hear him laughing, and the fact that he's having a good time watching Hogan get his head, his mustache shaved and everything. It leads to their history that they've had with each other, where Hogan's always wanted to destroy Hulkamania. So I think he saved the commentary. Bischoff and McMichael's horrible.
See, that's something I kind of miss right now. But that you pointed it out was they had Bobby Heenan.
Mm-hmm.
They had something so much more to work with.
Yeah.
Not just Hogan and the Giant as supposedly Andre the Giant's son, but now you have Bobby Heenan on commentary
Yes.
as Andre the Giant's manager.
Yes.
Like you could have, man, they could have just kept rolling with it and get the booty man out of there because he doesn't know what the heck he's doing.
Exactly.
You know?
And I think sometimes we forget that along with the show, the commentary does help. With a person like Bobby the Brain Heenan really does sell the skit at the time. He's equivalent to Jim Ross during the Attitude Era. You know, when we brought out the Stone Colds and the Triple H and the Rock. I think not just the product, but once hearing commentary from Jim Ross made that character much better.
Yeah.
You know, they're really good hype men, whether it's a heel or a face. They're really good at really selling that product.
And one more point before we keep going is, I think Bischoff missed an opportunity because remember, a lot of people that watched WCW didn't watch WWF or didn't know all about Hogan's history. And you didn't have like now where you can Google it and see like, oh, why did these two have beef from 19 whatever, or 2000 whatever. But I think Bischoff, instead of telling Bobby the Brain, shut up, Heenan, shut up, he should have asked him like, what are you laughing at? And that's when Bobby should have said, you know how long I've tried to destroy Hulkamania and now I'm finally seeing it happen, I'm happy. And then people would have been like, oh, what is he talking about? And like you said, connected the dots with the Andre story and him being the son and yada yada yada.
Right.
I think they missed an opportunity.
They brought out a shirt.
Yeah.
You remember this, Hogan? Sorry, I never got it dry clean for you.
And I give the Giant Paul White a lot of credit. He could pick up the Nasty Boys, but those two guys were out of shape. Yeah. So let's keep watching.
All right,
and see
let's
where
keep
this goes.
rolling.
All right.
Get back here! What is that?
What are you laughing about, man?
That's the segment at its finest, right there. We have a security guard with the belt, with the what they call it, the Billy Club. You got Bobby the Brain trying to sell this angle by saying, "I'm out of here."
Why does Hogan always need help?
I don't know.
Why?
You would think that everybody would just leave him because he really is the heel in all of these stories. If you ever look at him,
But I mean, he's supposed to be Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
You know, the strongest wrestler alive. And he's always, and thankfully, I'm a big Savage fan, so thank you, Savage, for giving Hogan a hand. And, you know, Luger and Sting were in there, and it just seemed like they just couldn't get the job done. And finally, we get Hulk Hogan, the old backup, Randy Savage, to, help him play it out. And now we start to get a little bit of a glimpse of what's coming next. The ice breaks and we start to get that vision of what the insurance policy is. Exciting stuff. Very exciting.
That, I mean, it's like like it's good ideas, but badly executed.
I
Right?
know the fans are into it, so I guess it must have worked.
I don't know if the fans are into it, man. I think.
Now, I don't know if you caught this, but now we're looking at the prelude of what comes later on, Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah.
Oh, where he's in black.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I sometimes get confused because sometimes you'll see pictures of him with all dressed in black, but then you see that he's missing his mustache. Oh, that's his him versus the whole Dungeon of Doom time.
Yeah, you know, and another question I had, and this was in the previous segment, how many times has Hogan broken his neck in wrestling? Didn't Zeus break his neck?
Enough to have his head completely off the shoulders, but I mean, he's Hulk Hogan.
Didn't Zeus a couple times? And
That's them going back to the well, trying to, hey, it worked last time, let's do it this. But see, this time it's just overkill. He's already got the neck brace. The Giant's already twisted his head off. And then, oh, well, you know, there's a few ligaments there. Let's tear those off.
Well, I don't know if
And he does
anybody's
it
a
again.
doctor in here, but you know, if I'm tearing my shirt off with a neck brace, I don't think I'm gonna be able to be too animated to do so.
Yeah, I don't think so
But
either.
you know, that's just me. I'm not Hulk Hogan.
But yet he still needs backup.
Well, when you got King Ikea on you because you're the most rare white Bengal tiger, like, why do you guys keep mentioning that? Just mention that the Giant is Andre the Giant's son. Stop talking about some Bengal tiger.
They just dropped they dropped the ball on that angle so much. This whole, yeah.
And you know, I keep hearing Taskmaster's father talk about incoherently about different things. I swear to God,
Somebody get this fool, bitch.
No, I swear to God, I was listening to an Ultimate Warrior interview. You know, where he's coming from the highest mountains and from the lowest depths, and
I wonder if the closed captioning can
I don't even keep up with him. I really don't.
So they got like a production company, right?
Yeah.
They got. I mean, they're in Universal Studios, right?
Yeah, Florida.
Filming, Florida, filming this stuff. Like someone couldn't have said, "Hey, you know that guy?"
But then again,
You can't miss him.
they couldn't edit the part where he goes, "Ow!"
You know that guy?
It's
Like,
not
like
hard.
you guys don't think, you know, maybe you guys should do another take?
Yeah.
He seems to be screaming a lot. I don't understand what he's saying.
And Bishop is doing a horrible job as commentator. I'm glad he took himself off after a while.
Yeah.
Because he was just bad. No offense to
Oh,
Bishop,
well,
but he
you know.
sucked.
I mean, he had the vision, but again, like we're talking about, and it's a good idea, badly executed.
Yeah.
Eric Bischoff, whether it was his idea for certain things, he probably had the idea of how to sell it or how it should be sold. It's just it wasn't executed properly.
One thing I can give credit to at the time to WWE, if anybody ever says Michael Cole's horrible again, I'm going to put you on this video so you can hear Eric Bischoff. Michael Cole's not that bad compared to Eric Bischoff. But you know, one thing to give credit to Vince McMahon is the commentary. No wonder he's so hard on the commentators because he knows what he wants. He knows how to make it sound important and how to make it. I'm pretty sure maybe if this was in the WWF's storyline, he probably would have had Jim Ross sell it a little differently. You wouldn't have what I keep catching on Nitro is Bischoff's trying to sell the angle, but he's also trying to sell the rest of the show at the same time.
Yeah.
Right there, you would have it either cut the commercial, or he wouldn't say like, "Oh, stay with us and see what happens." It would have just gone straight to commercial. There wouldn't be no commentary while Hogan's getting beat up. Or
Yeah, and I think if he left it to Bobby Heenan to do that, and then he focused on the rest of the show, would have been better. Because again, as we stated earlier, Bobby does really sell the skit, regardless of what it is. Going back to what you were saying about finally Hogan getting what we've all wanted all this time, and he puts a lot of enthusiasm in it. Where Bischoff, in his own right, wants to put that emphasis in it, but he does again realize that he has another whole rest of the show to think about as well.
I think they dropped the ball with Bobby. I think before we keep going, I think Bobby, when he was leaving, he wasn't leaving because he was afraid of the Yeti. I think he knew the segment sucked. He's like, I'm trying to get out of here.
I can't be part of this anymore.
Can't be a part of it anymore.
Well, quick question here. in between the show or the clip we just saw, they're selling us Halloween Havoc.
Yeah.
Order it on pay-per-view.
Right.
From what you just saw, would you have ordered it on pay-per-view?
I wanted to be a part. Be a part of Halloween Havoc. No, I didn't. I actually did not. I did not get paid for you. I watched the highlights later on. But, at that time you waited a month or two for WCW magazine to give all the results.
Yeah.
But, during the weekend shows, you get the highlights of it.
Yeah.
This was one pay-per-view I did not watch.
I was a WWF mark, so to me it was like I would put on Nitro to see what's going on, and I remember watching these angles and I would be like, I can't watch this crap anymore. And even though WWF wasn't putting on anything much better, it goes to what you said earlier, the production. Even though the WWF stuff was crap at the time, because you had like TL Hopper and, like you said, Duke the Dumpster Josie and the Godwins and hog pen matches and all this crap. It's just the production. So the production on this just, it just never looked good to me. It just looked,
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the way they panned out,
yeah.
that looked a lot better. That looked more WWF.
Yeah.
It's just going again with just the performers in it, trying to sell it. It's difficult. Even that part, the Yeti, like when he breaks out, all you see is kind of like an arm fling back. Like, oh. I would have liked to see just a little more, maybe the size, because maybe live you could see how big this block of ice was.
Yeah.
But TV wise, I don't know how big this block
to
is.
me, it looks like a Lego.
Yeah.
They should have put something near it, or they should have kept having wrestlers stand next to it.
Yes.
Or something, or like even put it like next to the commentators table, closer, so that you could see it was even bigger than.
And the whole show they could have sold it
Yeah.
by saying, "Oh, it's so cold. Oh,
Yeah.
because there's a big old block of ice."
They
Right
could have said
there.
it's not.
All right. Well, let's see if the first match, which is the Monster Truck versus Monster Truck,
Machine versus
will be
Machine.
hot or cold. Let's take it.
Why didn't
That
nobody
was-
call 911?
Well, first of all, can you guys tell me what happened? Because I think I fell asleep during the whole Monster Truck type of war there.
You didn't miss much, man.
Okay.
That was the lousiest piece of crap I've ever seen, man.
Can I have those 5 minutes of my life?
Okay, you just said it. It was like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That thing felt like 20 to 30.
Yeah.
It was, man, okay, nothing against people who like monster trucks, but you don't know what good stuff is if you like monster trucks.
Yeah.
Sorry, but that was BS, man.
Even Bobby the Brain was being sarcastic. We've changed the course of wrestling. It ain't kidding.
Well, this is when you realize that WCW is really running out of ideas.
Yeah.
I don't know who was booking it at the time, but whoever was, yeah. Maybe
Kevin Sullivan.
Was it Kevin Sullivan?
Yeah.
Maybe it helped. I think you look at what they were doing with the monster trucks compared to fast forward a couple years later to what WWF did with the monster trucks, and cars. Huge difference.
Everything else down.
And then I look at this when Hogan throws the giant into
No,
the
well,
river.
what he did is he like broke up the choke,
Yeah.
and then he lands, and the giant goes whoop 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 whoop.
What makes no sense to me is this guy broke your neck, he shaved your mustache, him and his clique have pretty much ruined your life for like the last, month or two. And then he falls into the river, and as soon as he falls, I at least would have been like, kind of like, like that demented kind of smile.
You get what you deserve.
You get what- and then maybe click like, oh wait, man, maybe I should kind of like call 911 or ask for help. You know what I'm talking about? But as soon as he falls, oh, somebody help. I'd be like, wait a minute. I'd kind of smile and be like, that's what you get, like you said, and then be like, damn, guess I should go get help.
He should have had that 1989 Batman
Yeah.
face when the Joker falls to his death.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, well, no, you had it coming.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta remember, we're still dealing with the 1990 faces.
Yeah.
They're still your
He's
heroes,
still
they're still
Hogan,
cares, and you know, we're not looking at the faces that we see today. Where
But what a difference, huh? What a contrast between that, then the NWO, and then Stone Cold Steve Austin. But let's just even skip the NWO. Hogan, Austin, Cena. It's like, what a different how wrestling has progressed. Cause,
Right, yeah.
you know, but I don't know. That was, if I ever, just give me my 5 minutes of my life back. I mean, that was horrible. I don't know whose idea it was.
Well, as you heard, the giant falls off, right? And they don't know if he's dead. The next few segments in between matches, before, after matches, during matches, they're asking, is he alive? Is he okay? Please give me some information. The funniest part is that you mentioned that Bobby Heenan is being very sarcastic.
Yes.
There's a moment where he runs off the stage
Yeah.
and he says he needs to go find some information. He comes back. Well, he's trying to get Bischoff to tell him some info, right?
Yeah.
He comes back on his hands and knees. Please give me some info. You just left the screen for like 2-3 seconds. How is he going to have any more info?
I think Bobby knew.
Yeah. Well, then Hogan, for the scheduled match, because there was supposed to be 2 matches, the Monster Truck, and now for the World Heavyweight Championship. Hogan comes down, and he's like shaking his head. He feels bad, but he's got his championship on him, you know, and he goes straight to the ring, and he wants to explain, he wants to apologize. I didn't mean for him to die. And guess who comes down that aisle?
No.
Somehow he survived.
he's a giant.
He is the giant.
The shark wasn't in that water.
And they say that this was his very first match.
Yeah.
This was actually his second match. He was training and at some indie promotion. He had his first match to try to get him ready for a live crowd. You know, so he had his first match. I believe he lost by countout in the very first match. But for big TV, WCW, WWE, the indies don't count.
Right.
You know, so this was his very first
Technically,
match.
his
Yeah.
first match, supposedly.
And he's doing somewhat all right.
Right.
But let's see those magic moments.
One quick thing I noticed. I'm a big guy in TV shows, wrestling, movies, consistency. I love consistency. We talked about it once. How sometimes somebody will be drinking a glass of milk and it's full, and then they edit it again. And not drinking it. They have a glass of milk in their hand. In one scene, they cut it, and then they do it again, and all of a sudden the glass is half full, and then again it's full again, right? Is it me? Isn't the giant supposed to be part of the Dungeon of Doom, right? But yet he's wearing a freaking trucking jacket and jeans and whatever. I don't like that. Shouldn't he just be in regular?
Please send your prize to David at the Wrestling Guy Store. Care of. No, I'm just kidding.
Right or wrong?
No, you're right.
Consistency,
You're right.
damn it. That's like Undertaker doing a match and he's, in jeans when he's supposed to be the dead man. It makes no freaking sense to
Well,
me.
he's done that.
Yeah, well, he was American Badass. But you know what I mean? It's like, I want consistency, damn it.
It's just, I
Or he
think
not supposed to be evil?
no, it's just I don't think they wanted his bare ass on that on the seat. I think they had to give back the truck.
Poor guy who had to wipe the seat afterwards if he had to wear.
Yeah, that one seat.
Maybe the segment's so bad, I'm just dissecting every little thing.
You don't have to try hard to dissect all the bad stuff on this.
But I mean, the fans were into it. To a
No,
point.
I don't think they were.
The 6-year-olds were into it, maybe.
But I'm saying, at least in a positive spin so far, I could say that some fans were into it.
I think that you know, you hear, I think it was Bischoff saying, oh, and the crowd goes wild. I think they probably have one of those little machines where you push and it has a fart sound and a ringer sound and a dog, and then they press the applause. Because that's
trying to be positive, damn it.
It's they probably played it over the loudspeaker in the arena to wake up the whole crowd. Like, what happened? What happened?
Well, it was apparently better than whatever WWF was putting on.
Well,
Not to me, but I mean, ratings for Nitro were still pretty good.
You know, I prefer to see the shot of the whole city versus the actual.
I did too.
That's something else too. When they were saying the rules, they said you have to push the other opponent out of the ring. What ring? They didn't show the ring.
The ring, like the circle.
Yeah, but they should have like showed it. They should have like.
It should have been going with the camera and showing what the ring looked like.
This is what we're talking
Kind
about.
of like what WWE does with the Hell in a Cell, where they show you the whole structure. Yeah.
Like, this is why it's so dangerous. This is what could happen. You could escape this way, you could escape that way. This is how you win. You push the guy out of the ring. What ring? This one right here. You see it? No, you didn't put it on camera.
Again, I go to Vince McMahon. He does know what he's
Kevin
doing.
Dunn. And you got to give it to Kevin Dunn as well, because he's the guy who, let's change position, camera angle, this and that and the other.
Yeah.
All right. So, with the Giant coming back from the dead, he's back from the dead somehow, and he's coming down the aisle, and they start their match.
Maybe the Shark saved him.
Maybe, because oh my gosh! Mind is blown. He fell into the water, and here came the shark, chomp, 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 and caught him.
And took him back into the arena.
Yes! That's logic. Thank you.
Watch out, Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
All right. All right, let's take it to the last segment.
So I'm very confused on all this. I'm confused for a lot of reasons. So,
Oh, man.
Classic, huh?
That is classic. That is classic.
So Jimmy Hart interferes in the match, right? All right. Then he pretends he doesn't interfere. So Hogan doesn't know who interferes, right? Who hits the ref. Right. Then Jimmy Hart, they get the referee back up. Jimmy Hart smacks the ref with the worst fucking shot I've ever seen in my life, right? Then also all this is happening, right? Hogan figures, and then he hits Hogan, right? And then Jimmy Hart's calling in the back for help. Now, unless these wrestlers are stupid and blind, did they not just see Macho Man and Luger, of course, because we don't know Luger's going to turn. Did they not just see Jimmy Hart whack Hogan? So if I'm Savage, why the hell am I going to run to the ring to go help Jimmy Hart and Hogan?
Well, I don't think he's really helping Jimmy Hart. He's helping Hogan. Once again, Hogan needs help.
And then, so then Luger turns on Macho Man, right?
Yes.
Well, Jimmy Hart hits the Macho Man with the even worse shot. That Macho Man, great job by the way. Now I know like Savage, so like a champ on that one.
Yes.
Not unlike Hogan,
Unlike Hogan,
who just turned around like, what was that? What was that?
Not a fly, okay? And then they start all beating up Hogan, and then this Yeti comes out. Which, by the way, kids, if you're under 18, do not watch this thing because this is adult content. There, what the Yeti and the Giant were doing.
But yeah, you could easily replace the audio with some.
Grabs the Giant around the neck. Wouldn't it be more impact? You're a wrestler. Wouldn't it be more impact to grab him at least
From the
waist? Not even the waist, like at least from here, from the back, the upper back.
Look, it's just,
But yeah,
it's the move. You're supposed to go in there and like destroy Hogan. Why would you pick that? Why would you get behind the man like that and squeeze him like that?
yeah.
unless you're going for something else. Like, no.
Well, I don't know. I squeeze my girlfriend like that, but it's not because I want to hurt her.
That's how I ended up with 4 kids.
But finally, Hogan gets what he deserves. That part I'm happy. I'm not a big fan of Savage getting beat up in the process because, again, he has to save Hogan. Poor guy.
You think Savage would have learned his lesson years ago?
Well, yes, but Hogan's always like, "Please, Savage, help me out." And so Savage, I mean, the guy that he is, the fan that I am of Savage, of course, I'm always going to take his side. And goes out there and helps Hogan, who's supposed to be the big, strong guy that can beat anybody. Finally gets what he deserves. Finally.
So who wins the match?
Well, since technically Jimmy Hart was Hulk Hogan's manager,
right,
and he interfered, that causes Hulk Hogan to be disqualified.
Okay.
Now,
but he keeps the title.
He kept the title. That's what they would have you think. But it was revealed later that Jimmy Hart, being Hulk Hogan's manager, he put it in Hulk Hogan's contract for the match that if he lost the match via countout, via disqualification, or pinfall, that Hulk Hogan would lose the championship.
Rightfully so.
See, this ends, this pay-per-view ended theoretically pretty good. Because it ended the way the Empire Strikes Back ends. With the bad guys on top, and that possibility of the good guys maybe down the line coming back up. But the bad guys are on top.
So was the Yeti.
Yes.
I don't know about that Hogan sandwich, but I think the main event for what it was at the time, I think, was not a bad match. Again, considering that Hogan finally got what he deserved, that belt taken away from him.
And I also think the main event did its job of getting you to tune in to Nitro the next night.
Yeah,
which is what was important, which is what I think is missing now in wrestling. The pay-per-view doesn't make you want to tune in to the next night, and I think that's what was missing. That's what made Nitro, I think, the must-watch show, because even though it was a confusing ending, even though it was cheesy, you still wanted it. It was so bad that you still wanted to see, okay, what's going to happen the next night? What's Hogan going to do? How's he going to get his championship back?
He's going to cry.
Who's going to help? Is Macho Man going to help him again? And you think Savage would have learned this lesson? Shoot, anybody take my wife, I would have helped them anymore.
Let's talk a little bit about the Yeti, because this is the most we've seen and will see of the Yeti in this form, and this is not his final form.
Well, I think I've seen enough of the Yeti. If you take a look at the footage of the Yeti, you can see it. The bandages are ripping off from under his arms, and
he was sweating
through his neck, and
You know what I like was that Ron Reese was the man under the Yeti outfit. I guess he forgets that he's supposed to be a Yeti, so he does this. His little tiny arms are kind of flapping in the wind. And then he's fixing because he can't see so well. And then he remembers, oh yeah, I'm the Yeti. And he starts portraying that he's a mummy.
Yeah. I've never seen a mummy dry hump a person in my life. I'm sorry, but I've never seen it.
You haven't been watching the right movies.
I guess not.
Here's a story that Ron Reese, I think he told Chris Jericho, I don't remember. But right before they went out, Ron Reese, this is his chance. He's finally got a chance. He's been training for a few months or something at the power plant. And hey, we can't get Giant Gonzalez. Hey, we're going to wrap you up. You're the Yeti. Oh, wow. So he's back there. He's ready to go out. And he's trying to think, how should I portray this Yeti? And he goes to the Macho Man. Macho Man is in the zone. He's ready to go out there and do his thing. Now here comes Ron Reese. Hey, Randy. How do you think I should do the whole Yeti thing? Should I have my arms up like this, or like should I be like this, or how should I do it? And Macho Man, he says something to the like of, do whatever the F you want, just leave me the F alone.
Well, he's busy, only protecting Hogan all the time.
I'm sorry, the Giant ended up leaving, what, 2 years later?
No, he ended up leaving maybe 4 years later.
Yeah, because he was part of the NWO.
Yeah, that's right. What a difference from the Giant to the Big Show.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think WCW, if WCW, I think, would have groomed him a little more and trained him a little better, he could have been a big star for WCW. Bigger than what he...
Yeah.
Because if you really think about it, he's not going to go down as... People are not going to... When he retired, they're not going to remember him as the Giant. They're not going to remember him as the Andre the Giant's son. They're going to remember him as the Big Show.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, again, going back to the point that you said, that Vince McMahon is very adamant as to what he wants out of Superstar. He made a shot back to Ted Turner. You don't know how to make superstars. You don't know how to buy them, and it came out to be true.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Austin.
Yeah.
I mean, Austin was, a mid-carder at best. They didn't know what to do with him. The minute he left there, went to ECW, he got in a cop molded by Paul Heyman, and then Vince made the final stand. It was like, here we go. You started out the ringmaster, but we got something better for you.
Mm-hmm.
And Stone Cold was born. Triple H was the same thing. I mean, you see Triple H as a no-name in WCW. He comes over to WWE, and all of a sudden, you've got this fancy little blue blood guy, and it's just funny how you see these guys from WCW evolve in WWE, WWF, after a few years.
and it's funny, the WCW guys are the ones that saved WWE.
Yeah.
And think about it. The WWF guys saved WCW because of the money, but the WCW guys saved the WWF because those were guys that weren't given a chance.
Right. I mean, look at
WCW.
Chris Jericho. You think
Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho would be the huge superstar that he is today if he didn't make that jump from WCW to WWF.
And when he did it.
Yes.
Look at the Big Show. Look at his debut compared to WCW's debut. Which one had more impact?
Yeah.
Throwing the shirt and saying,
Remember this, Hogan?
or coming out from under the ring and attacking Austin, throwing Austin into the cage and costing Vince McMahon the match.
Exactly.
But you didn't care because you were like, oh shit, this guy's so strong, he accidentally threw Austin too hard, which cost Vince McMahon the match. But the whole point was Austin had this challenge. Unfortunately for the Big Show, he wasn't ready for the big time. But look at the years later. I don't know about this WCW match. Yeti.
But you gotta admit, it's a classic.
It is a classic. It was, you know what? Even though I crapped all over it, it did its job, man. The build-up was it was not great, but it had build-up.
Yeah.
And whether it was you watched it because it was so bad, or whether you watched it because you were really into it, the whole point is you watched it because you wanted to see how it ended up. So it's a classic.
And I'm a big Hogan hater, so I mean, I love seeing that he got what he got. But again, you just pointed out that you wanted to see it either if it was going to get better or if it was going to get worse, and
It didn't disappoint, right?
it didn't disappoint.
It
Either
did
way,
its job. It did its job. It was so bad that it was so bad it was good.
Yes.
Sometimes that's what you need.
So guys, what would we rate this from a 1 to 10?
Oh,
Wrestling wise, look,
it's gotta be below 5.
Yeah,
It's
all
not
definitely.
1. Yeah.
I would say, to be fair, I would give it a 4.5 because it's not. I mean, I'm pretty sure somebody that's never seen it before might give it a 1. But like I said, it's so bad, it's good. We just had to see how this finished out. So I think it kept the fan interested in it. And so I say a 4.5. I think 4.5.
You're being racist. I think I would have given it a 3. I definitely would have given it a 3. Because there was little aspects again, that did pique my interest. The whole idea of it, I think, that you mentioned earlier, if they would have been done a little differently, but the same concept, it would have been a perfect 10. But right now, the way everything was done, it was horrible, but it gave some aspect to the idea of what they wanted to do.
I think Hector hit it right on the head when you talked about it. If they would have kept going with the Andre the Giant son, the whole shaving of the mustache, would have been interesting. He could have been torturing Hogan for all the stuff for beating his dad and all that. Bobby, like you said, Bobby the Brain being in the broadcast booth, building throwing that history out. I think Jimmy Hart turning on him, on Hogan, instead of having Sullivan, the Shark, Zodiac, I think you could have built it even better. That storyline would have been so much better if they would have kept going on that, and then at the end, it could have been all planned by Jimmy Hart.
I really don't know what you're talking about, because I would have really loved to see the Machine versus Machine Man.
I know. But you know what I mean? I think they could have recreated the whole Hogan Andre, but reversed everything.
Yeah.
Around.
Yeah.
Maybe had a giant, do something to Hogan. I think the shaving on the mustache, cutting his hair, whatever, just to kill Hulkamaniac. That's why he wanted to kill Hulkamaniac. And even the Giant could have been just like the guy that was stuck in the situation, because Jimmy Hart was the one that was behind it the whole time. And I think Jimmy Hart would have came off like a creative. He could have even came on the next night and been like Paul Heyman and said, like when Brock Lesnar ended the streak, Jimmy Hart could have been on the next night and said, "I'm the only man that has ever been able to destroy Hulkamania."
What
And laughed at Bobby and laughed at everybody.
What I would have done is kept going with the Hulk Hogan's. The whole Andre's son story.
Yeah.
I would have treated Jimmy Hart as Rip's little brother in No Holds Barred, in the movie where he gets hurt. Oh, they attack Jimmy Hart. He's in the hospital. I'm giving Hogan more reason to come back at him instead of having Jimmy Hart betray Hulk Hogan. Okay, they needed more people in the stable, but really, if they would have focused in on the meat of the story, on the meat, which is the history. You got Andre's son. It's sort of like going to Jaws the Revenge. That movie's a piece of
Crap.
Yeah, it's awful. But you've got that history
It's all tied in.
of the Brody family. And supposedly this shark wants revenge for his mama and papa shark who were blown up and electrocuted to death. And now he's back.
Yeah.
So you have that with Andre's son. Andre's son is now trying to destroy everything that Hogan's ever loved, because they could have done like some sort of backstory that Andre the Giant, after he lost to Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3, it devastated him and it devastated the whole family. And ever since then, my family has never been the same. So, Hulk Hogan, you destroyed everything I loved. I'm going to destroy everything you love. And it goes systematically destroying little by little, shaving off the mustache, nearly killing Jimmy Hart, and now taking away the title. Ooh.
I think they dropped it, but you know what? Maybe it wouldn't have played out as well as this.
Well, if they would have done it that way, we would have never gotten that awesome giant Hogan Yeti sex scene.
Yes, that's the best. I can't erase that in my head. So what do you rate it?
I'm going to rate it a 4 because of everything I just said. I would rate it a 1 or 2, but given that they had that potential and didn't use it, kind of goes down. Seeing that they did at least kind of build it up some. They took a guy who's his only second match, and he did very well. I mean, I would have been fooled and would have thought the guy's been wrestling for like 6 months. And I do give it just a little bigger push because they tried to change a little bit of Hogan by having him dress in black. They didn't, of course, they didn't go full out NWO, but at least they were trying something new.
Yeah.
Whereas this whole time they've just been trying to repeat the same story with always failing and failing and failing, and they just could not catch that magic, that lightning in a bottle. Right?
You know what we should do next time?
What should we do?
WrestleMania 5.
WrestleMania 5?
The build
Yes.
up of Hogan, Savage.
Oh, from Hector and
Alfred.
David.
this has been the Wrestling Guy Store Reviews.
The classic.